This January, Disney Plus is the home to new stories, new journeys, and new beginnings, with Disney's National Treasure Edge of History, as well as Star Wars Bad Batch Season 2 for the older kids in your family. Months have passed since the events on Kamino, and the Bad Batch continue their journey navigating the Empire after the fall of the Republic. I'm definitely looking forward to that new National Treasure show for one of our Friday family movie nights to cuddle up on the couch with some popcorn. All these and more streaming this month only on Disney Plus. Hey friends, it's Mr. Jim and welcome back to Kid Short Stories. If this is your first time, welcome to the family. We are the podcast that turns your ideas into an amazing adventure every single day. You know, we couldn't even exist without imaginations from kids just like you. So if you have an idea for a story, I'd love to see it. Check down in the show notes below for how you can submit your own story idea, and maybe we'll turn it into an awesome adventure. And parents, if you're new to kids podcasting, I want to challenge you to listen to podcasting for 5 days in a row with your kids. It's going to increase their imagination, decrease screen time, and we're going to have a lot of fun along the way. Are you guys ready for today's adventure? Me too, let's go! Hudson the Liger was a very special animal. He was both a lion and a tiger. He lived in the jungle with his mama tiger and his daddy lion. Hudson was so proud of his tiger and lion sides.
Look, Mama, I have stripes just like you,
Hudson would say to his mama tiger. Yes, you do, my little liger, Mama would say. And you have a long tail like me too. Then Hudson would say to his daddy lion,
Our fur is gold, Dad. I'm big just like you.
Yes, Hudson loved being a liger. He loved being part of both his mama's family, called a streak, and his daddy's family, called a pride. Hudson thought he was lucky to be part of such a big family. One day, Hudson was chasing birds through the jungle, leaping and pawing playfully as they fluttered ahead.
Quack, quack. Can't catch me,
called the toucan. Hudson laughed and growled back. He ran faster after the toucan, past the watering hole, and deeper into the jungle than he had ever gone. After a while, though, this toucan took off into the trees, too far for Hudson to reach him. He roared at the bottom, trying to get it to come down, but eventually he gave up. He looked around and realized it was getting dark.
Where am I?
Wondered Hudson. He saw a light shining through the trees up ahead. He prowled towards it, wanting to know what was shining so brightly. As he approached, the light grew bigger and spread out in front of him. It even got noisier, too. What is this thing? Hudson could smell yummy and sweet things, but couldn't quite figure it out. They definitely weren't from the jungle. There was a break in the trees up ahead, and he poked his head through to see. Step right up, come see Tiny the Tiger, the only creature of its kind. Hudson froze. It was a human! He was dressed in a red jacket with a tall black hat. In his hand was a long whip. Whoosh! Hudson had learned about those at school. It was the dreaded lion tamer. He was about to get his way out of there, and then he heard a sound. Behind the lion tamer was a large tent. A bright red tent, and the roaring was coming from inside of it. The lion tamer spoke loudly again, but Hudson wasn't sure who he was speaking to. He did notice other people walking all around the big tent. Come watch me! Boris the Brave tame this wild beast at our 8 o'clock show. What does he have in that tent? Wondered Hudson the Liger. The roaring continued, and Hudson needed to figure out who it was coming from. Do you know who might be roaring inside of that tent? Well, Hudson slunk back into the forest and the jungle and headed away from the lion tamer. He didn't want to get caught and become the newest part of that lion tamer's show. So, Hudson found a spot that was a safe distance from the lion tamer's tent. The deliciously sweet smell was much stronger here. He popped out and walked closer to it, trying to figure out what on earth could possibly smell that delicious. People gasped. Do you know how to gasp? And backed away as Hudson strolled up to the candy cart. The man who was working just stared, his eyes as big as 2 full moons. Holy smokes, those are some large eyeballs. Said Hudson.
What is this? Can I have some?
He waved his paws at the pink cotton candy. Oh, that's what he was smelling. Oh, and there's bright red candy apples. But the person could not speak lion, tiger, or liger. All they heard was roar, roar. And all he saw was a giant liger waving its claws at the cart. He was very scared. Here you go, big kitty. Take it all. Please just don't eat me, he screamed before running away. Hudson wasn't quite sure where the man was going. He seemed to be in an awful hurry, but it must mean that he could have some. So he gobbled up the cotton candy and candy apples as the people around him just took pictures.
Thank you. This is delicious. Thank you.
Hudson shouted after the man who was still running away as fast as he could. Now happy and full, Hudson continued on his plan to find out who was roaring in that tent. He passed many tents of all colors, shapes, and sizes along the way, listening for roars and sniffing for any signs of another animal. Some tents were dark and quiet, while others were bright and full of loud sounds made by people laughing. A roar! A giant roar came from the big tent ahead. It was dark, as if no one was inside of it yet. Oh, good, thought Hudson. That meant the show hadn't started. Hudson crept closer and could hear the lion tamer still calling out to the passing crowd on the other side of the tent.
Hello?
Whispered Hudson.
Who's in there?
He squeezed under the bottom of the tent and crawled inside. He could see a big cage in the middle with something inside pacing back and forth. They looked just like him. It had stripes, but they were too small to be a tiger, too small to be a liger either. He tried to remember what the lion tamer had called it. Was it a tyon or a lior? The animal named Tiny noticed him and growled.
What are you doing? You shouldn't be here. Lion tamer will be back any minute for the show. I'm here to save you,
said Hudson. Now that he had seen the animal, he couldn't just leave him there all alone.
Save me? Why?
Asked Tiny. Hudson explained how he had heard him growling when he was in the jungle and came across all the people in the tents and...
I just can't leave now,
said Hudson. Hudson began looking around for something to try and open the cage with. He spoke to Tiny as he did.
Yep, I'm a liger. You look like me, but I heard the lion tamer call you something else. Was that a tiger?
I'm a tigon,
Tiny explained.
I'm half tiger from my dad and half lion from my mom.
The tigon seemed sad now.
They were part of another circus, though, so it's just me now.
Hudson felt very sad for Tigon.
Don't worry, I'll get you out. Then you can come live with me in the jungle.
Just then, Hudson found a key lying on a table by the stage.
Aha! Got it!
He used his liger teeth to put the key into the lock and turn it. Then Hudson and Tiny snuck back out of the tent and took off into the trees together. Just before 8 o'clock, people were starting to fill the seats in the lion tamer's tent. The lion tamer marched into the back behind the stage to get the Tygon ready for the show. The crowd had now grown so loud, he didn't even realize there hadn't been any roaring in quite some time, until he approached the cage and found it empty. "No!" shouted the lion tamer, shaking his fists at the sky. By that time, Hudson and his new friend Tiny had made their way back into the jungle, safe and sound, and happy to have found each other. This may be the end of the story, but it's only just the beginning of the amazing adventures that lie ahead for Hudson the Liger and Tiny the Tygon. The end.
We'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor. Wow, looks like we're already back to the show.
Hey friends, I need your help celebrating a birthday. Drum roll, please. Happy birthday, Audie, who's turning 4 years old. Audie loves volcanoes, space, and is the best big brother. Wow, Audie, I'm so glad that we got to celebrate you and your big day on the show. Happy 4th birthday, Audie. Great job. You listened all the way to the end, and you know what time it is. It's time for Kid Shout Outs. I want to say hey to Grayson from California, Elliot from Prince Edward Island, Ruth from Michigan, Sloan from British Columbia, Colt from Idaho, Levi from California, River and Ocean from Idaho, and Adam from Canada. I'm so glad that you're all on the Kid Short Stories family. We could not have this much fun with imagination without you, my friends. Well, you have a super duper day, and I'll see you on our next adventure. Bye!